Mosab Hassan Yousef joins us now. My brother, good to see you. Give it to me.
Hi, Chris. Well, first of all, I would like to thank President Trump for his efforts to secure the release of the hostages. This is the good news. On the other hand, the situation in Gaza and the future of Gaza is in the hands of a barbaric group, that they're going nowhere. Gaza is their breeding ground. And if we don't evacuate civilians, and please to listen carefully, if we don't evacuate civilians, Trump's original plan to relocate the Gaza entire population, there is going to be Hamas. And if it's not Hamas, there is going to be Islamic Jihad. If it's not Islamic Jihad, there is going to be a communist Palestinian fanatics with intentions to wipe Israel off the map. They are too close to Israel, and you cannot mix both. It's impossible. We saw what they did on October 7th. I grew up among these people. My father is one of the founders of Hamas and still a top leader of Hamas organization. When Israel used to come to arrest him, dozens of times, they always respected women and children. They waited outside the door for women to dress up because they respected the culture. Now, the rules of engagement in Gaza is completely different because Hamas used their own children as human shields. Mm-hmm. And then they accused Israel of committing suicide and the world's genocide, and the world started to believe their narrative. And now it's spreading like wildfire. And this brought the politicians to compromise, to sit down and negotiate with a barbaric group. You know, today when they release the hostages, they are not only releasing the hostages, Israel is releasing thousands of mass murderers of the caliber of Yahya Sinwar. You know what does that mean? Yahya Sinwar is the architect of October 7. And today when Israel had no other choice under global pressure and global outrage, they had to release thousands of this type, of these criminals. Do you think the world is going to be a safer place after releasing such savages? I am not very optimistic. I'm very happy about the return of the hostages. But the situation is not going towards peace.
But, all right, let me just get one more take from you about that on this, in this context. If it doesn't matter who is in power because they're going to want to destroy Israel, then by that definition, Israel could never have peace. Obviously, they believe that you can have a change there. Don't you have to be open to that possibility that it doesn't have to be a terror organization for there to be a Palestine on its own?
Yeah, what change? Hamas in Gaza and other dozen militias, and that includes the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and the PLO, they all agree that their capital in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the eternal capital of the Jewish people. It has been like this throughout the centuries. And identity, property theft will never lead to peace. Palestinians is a made-up thing. Palestinianism is a sick ideology that's taken over the world. Its foundation is the victim narrative. And now, if they all agree that they want Jerusalem, they don't want Gaza. Their fight is not for Gaza. They call that Tufan al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa means it's the mosque, the Dome of the Rock sitting on the Temple Mount. This is their fight. It's a religious fight. It's a jihad against the Jews. It's jihad against civilization. And today you see the vast majority of the Muslims on assault on a Jewish minority. The world needs to open its eyes, especially Americans. Americans are on the other side of this culture. Americans don't stand this barbarism. Palestine is not a cool thing. It's not just a kefiyah and a social event down the street where people gather for the sake of victims in Gaza. The only victims in Gaza are the children. Listen, Chris, the only victims in Gaza are the children who have been used as human shields, who have been weaponized to serve jihadi agendas. Everyone else is a suspect terrorist. It's as simple as that.
All right. I understand your perspective. I thank you for making it for me here. And I will talk to you again soon. Hopefully you're wrong. Hopefully this can be better than you anticipate. But we have clear eyes.
If you don't listen to it now, 10 years from now,
you'll hear it again.
You will remember my words, and it's going to be much worse. So now we can convince ourselves that peace is happening, but 10 years from now, 15 years from now, the entire world is going to regret it. So it's better to wake up now and face reality before it come and slap us right on the face. Enough is enough.
I understand.
Hamas is a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood is the biggest Islamic movement, organization in the world, with more than 100 million active members, I think even more today. The question is why the Muslim Brotherhood did not declare just war against Israel within the what's so-called Palestinian territories. Because their tactic is not to have full confrontation with Israel, because this could lead to their annihilation. So their tactic has been to create branches in Europe, branches in Jordan, in the United States. When one branch becomes a terrorist organization or designated a terrorist organization, they branch a new one. They have many different names, they have many different faces, and it's the same ideology. There is no difference between Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. And there is no difference between the Muslim Brotherhood and what's so-called moderate Islam, or the middle way of Islam. This is the vision of Hassan al-Banna and Sayyid Qutb, who hated America, the West, and all the Western values. Believing in Islamic superiority and presenting Islam as the solution for humanity. So, as the Muslim Brotherhood was fighting on multiple fronts in Afghanistan and Lebanon and other locations, inciting against corrupt Arab regimes, inciting against the United States, against Israel, establishing Hamas was part of that. And it came right after the Afghanistan war, where modern jihad was actually born. Abdullah Azzam, Osama bin Laden, his disciple, and later on Al-Qaeda, and all the branches that came out of jihadi ideologies. It all came from the Muslim Brotherhood. So Hamas was part of that. Why did they call it Hamas? Hamas literally means enthusiasm. And they wanted to separate the activities of Hamas from the activities of the Muslim Brotherhood. In case if Israel launch a war, the war would be only against Hamas, not against the infrastructure of the flagship movement. This has been very clever because actually it worked for them. So what the Muslim Brotherhood did, separate dawah, separate education, charity from military and political activities. But it did not also stop there, because Hamas also had divisions and subdivisions. So also Hamas had more security precautions, that they separated the political wing from the military wing, from the security wing, from the dawah wing. But it's the same ideology as the Muslim Brotherhood. The ultimate goal has been an Islamic Khilafah, not a Palestine, not only on the rubble of the State of Israel, but also on the rubble of the Western civilization towards a global state.
So when we're hearing these so-called pro-Palestinian protesters chant on the streets of Toronto, New York, London, Sydney, globalize the Intifada, what does that mean for you?
Intifada is chaos. This is what Intifada. They were, prior to the first Palestinian Intifada, things were okay. We were good. Nobody was dying. Nobody was shooting at anybody. Jewish families used to come to our family, to our village. We would serve them our special dishes. We worked together. We partnered on projects. And there was harmony to a certain degree, regardless of the differences between the two people. And it was beautiful. But when the first Intifada started, and in the first few weeks, people were declaring the Intifada, things start changing to the worse. It became throwing stones, strikes, no education, no economy. They shut down economy. They shut down schools. Many masked men, only the devil knew who they were. Anybody just put on a mask and shut down the whole city, or raped women, or killed their rivals, or even when they had a dispute based on tribalism, people wear masks and they became freedom fighters, and they went and killed the others and accused them of being collaborators with Israel. And soon later it became shooting, mass shooting. A couple of years later it became suicide bombing attacks. And the region would never be the same. This is the Intifada that I know. It starts like a romantic chant, from the rivers to the sea, and the freedom fighting and the resistance against occupation and all these fancy slogans that they carry around, just like donkeys carrying holy scriptures over their backs. It does not make them more intelligent. And as someone who experienced and witnessed the bloodshed, I tell them, you are starting now, you think it's fun, but later on, you are going to pay the price, because the bloodshed is inevitable. And they seem not to care. So globalizing the Intifada, meaning that we are going to globalize the chaos. When they say this, I don't care what they mean when they say it. Whether they mean anything or something could be even positive, I don't care, because the certain outcome would be destruction and violence and chaos.
Not just of Israel, but of the West as well.
Yeah, and they say globalize it. They want it to become universal. They want it to go everywhere and wear chaos, because in chaos, they thrive. When there is order, there is no need for them. And when there is order, means that a person must fight the good fight and build and create, and it's not an easy process. The destruction process is much easier for many people, hence they choose chaos. Now, so many people are desperate for change. And I said this from the beginning. I totally understand it. Many people in the West are in debt. Many people don't see light towards the end of this tunnel. Many people living in darkness. And I'm telling them that the way of evolution is better than the way of revolution. The way of evolution is graceful. We learn, we grow, and we adjust, we align, we correct ourselves, we learn from our mistakes. There is lots of grace, there is lots of tolerance, there is lots of forgiveness. Then we would be building something magnificent. But when we choose revolution, it means that we want a quick fix now.
Without knowing the consequences of tomorrow.
Without knowing that they are going to pay the bills in blood.
Knowing what you know about Hamas, take me back to October 7th, what it was like for you personally. Were you surprised of Hamas's brutality towards civilians, raping, killing, dismembering men, women, elderly, children, kidnapping over 200 hostages to Gaza?
Well, this is the worst version of Hamas. And this is another thing for someone as an insider who have been witnessing the evolution of Hamas. That at the beginning, start with the idea of freedom fighting. Let's helping our people, freeing our people. But through experience, they don't care for the people. And they only made things worse. So it starts with fancy ideals, but the outcome of it is completely different. Like somebody like my father, in many occasions, he expressed his incapability to kill or to harm any being. Once there was an insect on the floor, and he wouldn't even step on it. But the irony is the leader of a movement that's sending suicide bombers to blow up so many people. So his self-righteousness and his believing that he's doing the right thing, he did not see the new generation of Hamas that came out on October 7. When I saw the footage of October 7 for the first time, especially the classified material at that time that was not revealed to public, I was shocked of how far Hamas made it. Like remembering the original founders of Hamas, what was their ideas and how amazing, how I was fascinated by their ideas. And here we are after 36 years or 37 years. The outcome is completely different than what they planned. Because here we are. They failed to destroy Israel. They only succeeded in destroying Gaza and making the lives of millions of Arabs and Jews intolerable. So this is my first-hand observation of the situation. And I wondered many times after I watched the massacre, what if my father actually sat down and watched it? Would he even recognize that this is the generation that he created? Are they under his control as the old guard? Would they even listen to him? If he said, no, October 7 is not a good idea, knowing the outcome or even expecting the outcome that would be disastrous. If he told Sinwar, this is not a good idea, would Sinwar even listen to him as the new generation of hooks? And what about the ones who just were raging and raving on killing civilians on October 7? Celebrating like, they were just at a big party, enjoying inflicting destruction and killing on defenseless civilians. What kind of achievement is this? And of course, as someone who served in the counterterrorism for a long time, and I know the mentality of the Mossad and of the Shin Bet, of even other intelligence services, that this is not going to go down unpunished. So I was speaking from personal experience, the things that the intelligence services wouldn't even tell the public what they are going to do. But I knew what they are going to do. And I knew that it's going to be a tsunami. October 7 was the earthquake. And October 8th was the tsunami that came to destroy everything in its way. So I wondered many times how my father would view that. Would he still view it as success? Nobody's listening to him. All their ideals from the beginning and what's so-called Islamic morality and compassion towards the people and freeing the people. How did it end? Where are we now? How did that work for Hamas and for all those who supported Hamas? So for me, it was just the end of Hamas. October 7 was the end of Hamas. Now comes the surprise that
Hamas was dead,
and now
Gaza.
It's the birth of a global movement, much more dangerous than Hamas, and much more false than Hamas. Like at least you would say Hamas leaders were in prison. They had personal reason to take revenge on Israel. They had personal reason in their delusions, in their deception, to inflict pain on Israel. Okay, so let's say, even if I had to say that this is understandable, what's the reason of all the Westerners? What's the reason of all the kids on colleges? And
how do you explain that? And I'm curious to hear from you. Was Hamas conscious that it would receive the backing that it has received from the West, or did that also come as a surprise to them?
No, Hamas was totally aware of this, but they didn't know that Israel would fight all the way to the end. They thought Israel would respond strongly. Civilian casualty would be inevitable. And that's based on Hamas experience in the previous wars, 2014, 2019, 2008, 2021. And they saw how much sympathy, global sympathy, they gained through sacrificing and weaponizing civilians. So it's not that Hamas was naive. This has been their most dangerous weapon, civilians.
And that is, for viewers who might not necessarily understand to what you're alluding to, that is Hamas's conscious, deliberate use of Gazan civilians in Gaza as human shields on the battlefield.
Of course. This is, to Hamas, this is a strategy. But this is where Hamas got it wrong. Hamas thought, and as someone who knows how they think, how they process, they thought Israel halfway cannot keep going all the way because they cannot basically go into a war where civilians continue to die, expecting that the global pressure is going to apply and Israel will have to submit and accept surrender. So they did two major war crimes, taking their own people as human shields and taking the hostages on the top of October 7 massacre. These are very powerful cards against democracy. Forget about Israel as a nation that values life, and every Jewish life is very important, and never leave anyone behind, right? All these principles. Israel in the past paid whatever it took to bring its soldiers back, to bring its citizens back from captivity. So Hamas knows now if we have hundreds of hostages,
it's the best.
The price is going to be... Yes, so this is where they miscalculated, thinking that the hostage card is going to break Israel, divide the country, lead to the collapse of the government, apply tremendous amount of global pressure from the Islamic world, from the Western world, from humanitarian organizations, from the United Nations. And Hamas did not have much to lose. So they thought the moment Israel is defeated, automatically Hamas would be victorious in a scenario where Hamas would get legitimacy among their own people, that their violence actually paid off and their cause got global legitimacy. On the other hand, Israel got delegitimized. So Hamas was aware of that, but they did not think that Israel would hold it together without collapsing, without surrender, without submitting to the global pressure and go as far as where we are right now.
Before we get into the legitimacy that Hamas has gained or perhaps not gained from October 7th, I'm curious to hear from you what is the tactics that Hamas has used to manipulate the West into blaming Israel, essentially kidnapping the narrative of the war. But more technically speaking, in order to be able to answer that question, I would like for you to explain to our viewers how Hamas controls everything in Gaza, not just militarily, but also socially, indoctrinating that population and forcing it out of fear to act in its favor.
Well, Hamas, I'm afraid to say, it's the only legitimate Palestinian authority that is out there. The Palestinian Authority does not have any legitimacy because they are not the ones who have been elected. Hamas won the elections, landslide victory for Hamas, where the vast majority of Palestinians voted for the organization. And in fact, the vast majority of Palestinians continue to support Hamas and their violence. And many people now start to believe that violence actually can lead to recognition, to sympathy, to financial support, to statehood. And here come Western countries who
calling for the recognition of the Palestinian states,
which basically they are validating Hamas violence, whether if they mean it or not, because not
avoiding terrorism essentially.
Like for example, Macron's decision to recognize the Palestinian state It's not about Palestine. It's about punishing Israel. It's about challenging the United States' long-standing position as a superpower. So we can go in so many directions of how this trigger Palestine. Very, very dangerous trigger. And the war Hamas started, we really don't know how it's going to end. And I said from the beginning, could lead to the destruction of Gaza, and it did. And it did. And now I'm actually worried that this is going to even spread much farther than the borders of Gaza.
Are you worried of a more wider regional war?
It's already, all this hateful indoctrination is not going in void, demonizing the Jewish minority, who happen to be a very successful minority around the world, where it cannot be, it's the attempt to replace it by the means of violence and intimidation will create a very dangerous void in all systems. And it looks like so many people now believe that actually Israel is the source of evil in this world. And they are coming to the same conclusions as the Nazis. But when the Nazi ideology spread, what was the outcome of it? It took the Nazis about 5 years to infiltrate the church through Christianity, to demonize the Jewish people eventually, which led to the Holocaust and the death of so many people, and eventually World War II. So we are in a very similar scenario. Yes, the reality is different, but who knows how this is going to end? And when France, the UK, China, Russia, the United States, all the superpowers of the world are just playing the Palestinian game, playing the proxies, like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like Iran, like the Palestinian Authority, to delegitimize Israel and dehumanize the Jewish people, knowing how sensitive it is. Because the Jewish people are not just ordinary people. Everybody knows this. Every government knows this. Every politician knows that. And it's not their fault to be successful, to be wealthy, and to have powerful drive towards life. So all intelligence services around the world know that this is the most sensitive nerve. If you press it, it could lead to change the world order. And this is what they want. They want the collapse of the United States as the greatest ally of Israel. Russia and China are determined to change the world order. And they went into a very ugly partnership with Islamists and jihadists to achieve their goal. God forbids if the United States end up divided and, let's say, falling from its position as the leading power, we will be left with Islamists and communists to actually decide our destiny. And that's a very, very dangerous world that I hope that they don't succeed in creating.
We want to show the universe that Israel is united under one flag with one purpose, the bond that connects all the people of Israel. And that bond is life. We thrive for life. This is the bond between me and you. This is the common ground, despite of our diversity and our different opinions. Hence, thank you today for coming and flying the eternal flag, blue and white, from the river to the sea, so the entire world can see that we are united, we are not divided. Thank you for being here. It's a great honor. Thank you for taking me home. Thank you for making me feel like home. This is exactly the way I feel every time I come to Israel, that this is home. And your fight, you are not fighting alone. We are fighting together all the way to victory until the truth prevails. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Israel.
It's 2025. America's debt is over $37 trillion, and the dollar just had its worst crash since 1973. That puts your savings and your family's future at risk. That's why we trust Alpha Omega Gold, a company that stands unapologetically with Israel and supports Stand Tall Israel. Visit ao.gold/stand to claim your free precious metals wayfinder guide or call 1-855-426-4653 today. Protect your future before it's too late.